You don't have to thank me for this. I mean, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about consciousness, and this is what I feel is what I'm destined to do.
I
So,
I totally feel the same way, so I get it. And I was gonna say, I saw your video the other day of you, like the lieutenant, when you said you didn't get the job or an interview that didn't go well. I'm like, yeah, see, because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. The universe is just redirecting you, you know?
I was literally just having this conversation where I was like, you know what? I feel as if when you have so many obstacles that are just hindering you, to be quite honest, with the fire department, I know that I'm not an idiot, but like it just does not come natural for me with a lot of this stuff. Like, to be real, like when I was in the academy, I failed tests like it was nothing. Like hazmat, I failed. Evoc, I failed. And then coming out to the field, I failed like a lot of the promotional exams. I failed. I just kept failing. And I feel like when you are destined to do something, like it comes natural because we all have this inner genius within ourselves. And when you find your path and that is the path that you are intended to take,
Yeah.
everything will flow naturally and you will naturally move with a purpose through it. And this is how I knew that I think this is the end of my journey. Like I've been here and I feel like I physically saved people, and now I want to save people on a higher level. And that's why I said this is done. I know what's intended for me.
I love that. I'm getting chills as you're talking, and it's true. And it's not, with society and this and that. We feel like we have to do these certain things because sometimes these certain things are they offer security, right? They offer a pension, this and that. But it's, I don't know. I could go on and on and on about that. But why don't we just jump in? Because I feel like we're already kind of on a roll here. Good.
That's with me.
Awesome. Hello and welcome to another episode of Pair Not So Normal. I'm Brittany, and today I'm really excited because I'm here with Marco. And some of you might, what's your name? Is it the Ascended One, or did you change it recently on TikTok, on YouTube? But a lot of my listeners probably already will recognize your face. So why don't you talk about, yeah, what you do?
So this is a perfect opportunity to talk about my rebrand because there's a lot of imitators out there who are like trying to scam people out of money with my name. So I have a big project ahead that I'm trying to rebrand. So I'm no longer considering myself the ascended one. I'm considering we are one because we are definitely all connected. And the ascended, like I'm still learning in my journey. So I have not ascended anywhere. I am in the beginning of this journey. And as we all learn in different ways, like even when I'm 20 years in this journey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still learning and I will continue to learn. And the day you stop learning is the day that you fall apart. So my name is Marco J. Williams. I'm been doing this spiritual content for the last since COVID essentially. And it's been a great journey because I've been able to connect with like-minded individuals like yourself. And boy, I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I'm excited to jump right into it. I mean, I don't remember when I came across your content, but I love it, fascinated by it. You talk about all things I just want to talk about all day. And yeah, that's interesting. You started COVID because I think I kind of started then too, but I actually started off with posting food recipes, as weird as that sounds, because that's another passion of mine. But Spirit kind of, I posted one card video and it kind of blew up a little bit. I'm like, maybe I should start posting more about that. And then it just kind of, naturally unraveled from there. But my content is a little bit more about readings and, channeled messages and this and that. But you dive into conspiracies. And I mean, recently you've been talking about Project Blueprint, which is something, or not Blueprint, Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam, which I was like, just you bring things to, our attention that's I didn't even know about that. Do you know what I mean? But it's things that can I talk about it, with like the government trying to project certain things, trying to make us think a certain way, and people just fall into it. So they need people, like yourself to kind of open their eyes or to just give another perspective to cause that questioning within, your own mind.
So to be honest, like you said your content started off with cooking. Like my content back in 2020 was not the best. I was not the best version of myself then. Like I was terrible towards women, and I was essentially teaching guys how to be dogs. Like that was what my content started off. It was dating, very low vibrational content where I was in a low place myself and I was projecting that energy. I was thirsty for attention. I was thirsty for this. And I I I I was not my best self then. I'm still trying to improve. And like my girlfriend now, we have our trials and tribulations, but like I am learning, and I definitely accredit her to a lot of my growth in this process because I wasn't good towards women, and then she comes in my life and it all kind of changed my perspective. I wasn't thirsty for attention. I was starting to post more content about like not just conspiracy, because don't get me wrong, I love me a good conspiracy.
Yeah.
But that's what got the conspiracies are what got my old account deleted. So I'm kind of moving forward in a different direction where I'm projecting more consciousness.
Right.
But even that seems to be kind of an issue where you can talk about mindfulness, you can talk about breath work, you can talk about a lot of stuff, meditation, or how to just listen to the universe. And for some reason, TikTok doesn't like that. Like,
do you know what? I've noticed that too, because some of my readings do great because they don't necessarily talk about consciousness or this or that. It's just a reading. But my videos where I do kind of delve into that, or some of the messages that come through that do kind of delve into that, the view count is a lot like significantly lower. And I look at that, and not that I care, do you know what I mean? Like whether my video gets a lot of views or not, to me, that doesn't really matter, but I notice it. And I think it's because of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm blanking on the word, but you know, when they hide things on purpose almost.
I think it's best that you do blank out on this word, because going forward with podcasts, I know if you do say this word, like it kind of,
it'll happen again.
So we kind of, when it comes to podcasts and social media, I know that it's best to stay away from that word because I know the word, it's in my head and I don't want to say it. It does happen. But when it comes to this type of content, like, yes, it definitely does seem like it is like there are gatekeepers with this knowledge. And I just feel like people like you, me, Nick Z, Indigo, Bruno, like I met them. We hit it off really good. And they were such a vibe in person and we got big plans together.
Oh, that makes me so excited for you.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I feel as if like, because Nick was saying the same thing. He's like, my consciousness stuff, like on TikTok, I'm presenting the same type of content, but it doesn't get pushed as much as certain stuff. Yeah. Like me, for example, I'll say a conspiracy theory and like that somehow gets a lot of traction. Like, and conspiracy theories, like, don't get me wrong, I love a good conspiracy theory, but I honestly don't have the actual evidence to support that this is true. I guess more of my content is just along the lines of having people just think outside the box, because I've always been an outside the box thinker since 9/11, for example.
Right.
I believe I was in the 5th grade when 9/11 happened, and
I think I was in grade 3. I'm a 93 baby, so
yeah. So I remember asking my mom. I was like, so I don't get it. Like, I get that the plane hit this tower, but why did Trade Center 7 fall and it wasn't hit? Like, nobody questioned that. I was like, so how did we come to find the guy's passport out of all that rubble? We found that same day the guy's passport of who hijacked the plane. So it was just like stuff like that didn't make sense to me at a young age. Same with religion. Same with, and then growing up to become a firefighter, I learned how building construction is, how buildings fall and collapse. And I'm like, oh, this is really not making sense. So that really got me along the conspiracy juices going, where I'm like, you know what? I question everything. And I think like questioning everything, like, for example, religion, politics, I'm not affiliated with any religion. I see the beauty with all religions. So it allows me to see the bigger picture and to see that we are all essentially describing the same thing, whether you're like science, whether it's Hinduism, Christianity, you name it. Like it's the blind man and the elephant theory, where every guy is filling a certain portion of the elephant, but they're describing their perspective of it from their point of view.
Right.
And it's like, when you take a step back and see the bigger picture, you realize, hey, guess what? Adam, we're describing the same thing. Like, that's all it is.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's funny you mentioned religion. I was raised very Catholic, church every Sunday, Catholic elementary school, Catholic high school. Like, it was drilled into me in my subconscious ever since I was born. And I've always questioned it, though. It never sat right with me. And when I went off to college, I ended up taking a course on different religions. It was just one of the extra courses that I could take. And I was like, that's interesting to me. I'm curious what the other views are, because same as you, I do see things from an outside of the box type of a thing. And when I learned about these other religions, I'm like, this is all the same damn thing. I'm like, they're all the same thing. Just the words are a little different. Us as humans, we need to put rules on things. So, and the perception, what's the word I'm looking for? Why am I blanking on my words today? But like the Bible, for example, you can take the Bible and you can perceive it. That perceive is not the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I can't think of the word, but you interpret it. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with me, but you interpret it in different ways, but essentially it's the same thing. And that's why I love spirituality. And that's kind of how I fell out of Catholicism, when I started thinking for myself, as opposed to just what my parents were telling me, what my teachers were telling me. And I was like, I resonate more with spirituality because there's not so many rules on that. With New Age spirituality, though, it's kind of a fine line, because with some, even with some views now, it's like there's already the labels, the rules, the this and the that. It's like, we're just a soul here for an experience. Everybody's experience is going to be very, very different. Like, essentially our realities are very different because of our experiences. Therefore, our perception is very different. And we're here to experience what we're here to experience. My experience is going to be different than yours because we are here for different reasons. And it's like looking at it from that way, and it helps us just also love one another more too, once you realize, like, okay, you don't see things the way I see things. So it's okay if you don't agree with me, because your experience was very different than my experience. And I guess tying that back to religion, I just realized that they're all the same, just with different interpretations, essentially.
Yeah, and I see that, like, a lot of people called Christians will get like they're very angry and passionate when you like talk about something other than what they've been told, and they're just some of the most judgmental people. Like, when you sit up there and you talk about, oh, this is why we're the this is its meaning, and they're like, well, I've been told like the eye represents devil worship, and I'm just like, well, let me educate you here. Like, so what do you as a Christian, what do you say at the end of your prayer? Amen, right? Do you know where that came from? A lot of Christianity derives from a lot of ancient Kemet. So we get this knowledge, and we're told, it was like, especially being an African American in this country, a lot of us, we came from overseas and whatnot, and we didn't have Christianity, like Christianity came later. So when I'm telling them, like, yeah, you say amen, that's Amen Ra, sun god, amen. Like, like when you look at the Eye of Horus and you call this devil worship, Horus, if you look back at Egyptian mythology, part of the Holy Trinity, Oset, Osiris, and Horus, in the battle where this represents the left eye represents divine feminine energy, moon, the eye of Thoth. The right eye represents the divine masculine energy, the eye of Ra. So the New Age Egyptians combine Ra, Amen, Ra. So Egypt was taken over by the Greeks and whatnot. What does Greeks come up with? Their own mythology. And then the Romans came up with mythology. And then the Romans turned that mythology into Christianity.
Yeah.
Like, this is the city that, quote unquote, crucified Jesus and put him. Now they're the Holy Roman Empire. and now religion controls the world. Now they have people brainwashed into thinking, and they're so indoctrinated into thinking like this is the right way. You need to serve God. You need to serve Jesus. Like, you know how many of my posts were like, you just need Jesus. Okay.
I get the same thing, like my comment section. It's funny because the most judgmental, and not all Christians are like this, okay? So for those of you listening, but a good chunk of the hate, unfortunately, that I do get is from Christianity or from people who are Christians. And it's funny, I have like a cross tattooed, and when I learned about the Ankh, I was like, damn it. I'm like, I want to change it, but in time, I'll get around to doing that. But speaking of religion, I love that you're talking about it, because one of your videos about Project Bluebeam and like the New World Order, I was like, oh, because for those listening, you talked about, I guess, the different, so there's like Jesus, there's, the different leaders of religion or gods of religion, whatever you want to call it. And they're going to project like, or this is a conspiracy, I'm getting into conspiracy, but project like one to kind of control all of us. You were kind of talking about that. I'm not explaining it very well.
So I got you. So with Project Bluebeam, it's quote unquote, like they displayed it in the movies where like they put it in your face. I guess that's the law of like where they have to reveal stuff.
Yeah.
But like in Spider-Man No Way Home, Mysterio has a bunch of drones that come down and they project an image over the areas. So that's essentially what Project Bluebeam is. We already have the technology where these high-tech drones are coming down, and they can, like, you see these shows where these synchronized drones are putting images in the air. So the technology is there. We just been like perfecting it over the last 15, 20 years. And what they're trying to do, and it's in the Georgia Guidestones, where they want to we want to move towards a one world religion because it's easier to control the population. So it's like a false flag event where they show like there's an alien invasion and they make you think that the aliens are the bad people. And that's why they prompt us in movies where they show like Independence Day and aliens destroying the world. But if you really want to go out there, like there are some aliens who are like here to guide us and whatnot, and that's a different topic. But I'm just saying, they want to show whatever deity is popular in that particular region. So Christianity rules a big portion of the world, so a lot of us will see Jesus, And I saw a really funny comment where it said, me being an atheist, just enjoying the light show. That's like, but that's really what it is. They're trying to push us in a different direction and this is just conspiracy. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but interesting little bedtime story,
It's interesting to talk about, just because like talking about consciousness in general, and I really woke up, I want to say like I had a reawakening this year. Like I don't want to say always been awake. I don't know when I had my first quote unquote spiritual awakening, but I was really reawakened this year. And thinking about consciousness and this and that, it's just so interesting to me how they try so desperate, because I see it now, like being like really awake. I see all the different ways they really do try to keep us asleep. So conspiracies like that make sense to me because they do want to keep us asleep in a way, using religion, using the government, pinning us against each other, left side, right side. It's keeping us busy. It's keeping us asleep. And it makes sense whether this Project Bluebeam happens or not. Like you said, it's a conspiracy, but in my mind, linking it to consciousness and, people waking up, it makes sense because it's just another scheme to kind of keep us asleep, essentially.
I always said, like, when it comes to the media, like the media is the biggest tool that they have, and they use that to their advantage, like quote unquote with COVID, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm big into manifestation. That's a lot of my content and whatnot, where I said 2 years ago, like I said, if you continue, we can literally manifest COVID away. And everyone's like, you can't manifest the disease away. I'm like, you don't understand what I'm saying. If you keep giving something too much thought and attention, it's going to linger around. Mm-hmm. It's very ironic. Like 2 years after I had that speech, like that video was deleted. the war in Ukraine happens, and COVID mysteriously goes away. It's not the focus no more. And what do you know? We're back to normal. Because what did we do? We shifted our focus. We shifted our consciousness. That collective consciousness that collects us all. We shifted it to a different energy.
Totally. Yeah. And it's funny you say that, because I thought of that in my mind. I'm like, if only other people, I guess, like understood that, because you can do that. You can absolutely change your reality. You can manifest. Like, you are creating your reality right now in this moment. Like, your mind is currently creating basically what's coming. Like your thoughts, whatever is coming through right now, which is why like being present is so important, as opposed to worrying about COVID, when that was the thing, or worrying about, oh my gosh, what's going to happen when this, or thinking about things from the past. It's like, forget about that. Forget about shit from the past. Forget about, your worries or whatever about the future. Your only job here is to follow what makes you feel good, is to follow your passion and to explore and to be present. Everything else, Spirit has written for you already. Like, your path, you came here for a reason. Your higher self knows why you're here. So let them guide you. All you have to do is enjoy right now. That's it. But we complicate things. So
the movie Soul is a perfect example of this, where I don't know if you've seen it, where
a while ago.
But I use that movie because it's a great movie to reference when it comes to being in the moment and being present. Like, you had the main character who was just chasing this dream of being a great jazz musician, and he dies, and he feels like he didn't live his purpose, so to say. And he's so selfish that he wants to come back and use this new soul who's just trying to, it's like she found her spark just living life, because that's what us as a soul are supposed to do. Live in the moment and be present, not chase. Because once he does get his dream, he's just like, that's it. Like, oh, there was more to it. But then he realizes that the soul that he was helping has lived her life purpose by just living life and enjoying the simple things to life.
Yeah, and adding to that, because I completely agree, sometimes with, our manifestations, when you're trying to manifest something, because manifestation is very real. If I want to manifest something, I could sit and focus and try to make myself feel as though I'm already there and it'll work. But when your manifestations actually come into fruition, without being present in the moment, you're never going to enjoy it, even when they come in, because it'll never be enough, because you're always, what's next? What's next? What's next? It's not like you wake up one day and boom, it's a gift and it's exciting to open that gift. Here's your manifestation. It kind of just like slides into your life in a way, and then you're like, holy shit, I'm here already. Like, I kind of had that moment the other day. I was a teacher for 5 years, and this past year I quit, or last year, I guess, now that we're in 2023, I quit teaching in September. So I officially was done end of September, and for a while I was like, I didn't want to teach anymore. I was like, I know this is not what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what else I should be doing. So I was trying to find a different avenue. So I ended up studying counseling. I was getting a master's in counseling. I'm like, okay, this will be good because it's not teaching, it's something else. And then all of a sudden I started doing these readings, like naturally, Spirit, it just kind of like happened. I built a bit of a following, which has given me this opportunity to do readings, which is what I do now full time. And I'm super grateful for it. But in this moment, I was like, holy crap. And I'm not doing the master's program anymore. I dropped out because my heart was not there. But I was like, holy crap, a year and a half ago, all I wanted to do was get out of teaching. I've done that. And now it's like I'm so focused on what's next. I'm like, Brittany, slow the fuck down. Do you know what I mean? Like, enjoy and be proud of yourself for, how far you've come, and enjoy this moment right now. This is all you wanted a year and a half ago, a year ago, not even how many months ago. Like, I quit. October was the first time I started doing this stuff full time, so it's really slowing down and noticing when your manifestations come in. Don't zoom past them. Don't, focus on what's next. It's being present and enjoy the journey. Like I said, what's meant for you is already on your path. You just have to enjoy what's in front of you right now.
No, definitely. Like, I big into manifestation too, and one of the biggest things is like a lot of us, and that's one thing, a lot of us aren't prepared for when it does come into our life. Like it could come into our life. For me, for example, like I was in debt and I made this manifestation years ago to get out of debt. And I ended up winning money. I didn't know how. I just wrote it out like I'm going to get out of debt. Wrote my thoughts out.
Were you on a show? Is that you that I saw that video of?
That was me.
Okay, talk about it. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, you're good. No, because this leads into the show where I was in about $24,000 worth of debt. And I said, I'm going to get out of this debt. Didn't know how. I just wrote out my debt on a board, pinned it on a wall, and I said, I'm going to get out of it. I felt myself out of it. I said, somehow money's going to come in. I'm going to get out of this debt. So a few months go by, like, and some woman reaches out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, would you like to be part of a game show? I'm like, sure. Like, what, why not? You know? And as I'm going to New York City and I'm getting ready to get on this game show, I see a homeless guy in the station. He was like, look, man, I don't want any money. I just want some food. And I was like, yeah, I got you. Like, sure. So there was a woman inside the deli. She was like, yeah, he's not a customer. I'm like, now he is. He's got food. Like, I got his meal. So he is a customer. She was rude. So he thanked me. He was grateful for it. And I look at my receipt and it said 888. And I'm like, oh,
Abundance.
an abundance of something is coming in my way. So I get on that game show and I was losing. Like, mind you, before getting on the game show, it was like meant for me to be on the game show because they were only doing boy girl, like going against each other. And it was only two men and they were only filming two shows. So I was a shoo-in to get on the show. Right. And the woman that I was playing against, she was beating me towards the beginning of the show. I'm just like, dang, I lost. And I got here for a reason. So something was like, no, I think tables are going to turn. And all it took was one question, tables turned, and I ended up winning $20,000.
Wow.
Now, fast forward last year, the manifestation still didn't end because I was in a car accident and I lost my Jeep. And I was like, you know, when I say like when a manifestation comes in your life and you don't really like, you're questioning why, what to the universe, why this happened. I sat and think. The insurance company called me and was like, hey, we totaled your car. Your total is $24,000. And I'm like,
crazy.
Okay. So like this, I did this. Like that was the journey. Now, granted, it wasn't an overnight process. It was just a journey that came in different ways. And it was just a matter of enjoying it. So that was,
Yeah, no, that's crazy. In the best way though, you know, in a way you can look at, and it's funny with things that happen like that, like an accident or this or that, like sometimes people, I always try to encourage people, like if something bad happens to you, try your best not to get stuck in that bad feeling, because more than likely not more than likely, there is an underlying reason for it. Okay. It's not happening. I always say this, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you. My sister, let me give you a quick example. My sister, her boyfriend, they actually live in the same building as me. My sister is killing it. She is doing YouTube full time. Like her and her boyfriend are super into manifestation, all that stuff. They're doing really, really great. Super proud of her. She's 7 years younger than I am. Anyways, she's only been now here for not even a full year yet. It'll be a year end of February, so end of next month. And her landlord was like, long story short, he needs to move in to the building because of interest rates and this and that. He had to sell a couple of his properties, and you need to basically giving them their notice. Like, you're going to need to move out by the end of your 1 year lease. And at first they were like, you know, it was the initial like, shit, like, because they didn't want to, and they were kind of upset about it. And then as soon as I heard, my first thought was, oh, like, darn, I'm not gonna have my sister here anymore. But immediately after that, I was like, no. I'm like, this was meant to be. I'm like, now you guys can go travel. All they've been wanting to do is travel, like abroad, like live in Portugal for a year, go to wherever for a year, go to here, or not for a year, but for like a few months at a time, and just do that. I'm like, this is the universe pushing you into where you want to go. It feels a little uncomfortable now, but there's a reason for it, and that's exactly what they're doing now. They have like their first Airbnb booked somewhere for their first couple of months, and I'm like, and they're super excited about it, and I'm like, it's happening for you, not to you. So
No, that's amazing. Like your sister and her boyfriend are living a life that I foresee me about to have. I feel it where I said this journey in my life is it's coming to an end. I feel it in my core. And I feel me reaching those thoughts because remember, an inline thought creates your reality.
yeah.
And I feel it's like I'm enjoying the journey of the process because I foresee the finish line, and not just the finish line. I foresee the goal that I'm moving towards,
And it's more so being excited for it to come as opposed to like, why isn't it not here yet? Be excited for it. Enjoy where you're at now and be excited for what's coming as opposed to why isn't it? You know what I mean? It's just that it's that little tweak in the mind.
I'm really enjoying the journey because I do see where it's supposed to propel me. And I think that that's the big lesson when it comes to manifestation is to enjoy the journey because the journey might take longer than you expect, but it's no need to rush it. You're supposed to enjoy the process of it, you know?
Absolutely. And another thing I always say is don't get too stuck on your manifestations. Like sometimes people say to get really specific with your manifestations, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing depending on what you are trying to manifest. But what you always want to remember is your plan and spirit, they have a plan that maybe you don't even realize that you want even more so than what you're thinking of. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes their plan for you is even greater. So by putting limitations on yourself and by being too specific and too rigid, you could be losing out on what, you know what I mean? What the plan is that could be even better. So it's like if a door closes, it's a redirection. Don't harp on the negativity of that. Just be like, okay, what's next then? There has to be something better if this didn't work out.
So like for you, for example, because I came across your content because of your readings, actually. Like that's what I thought you were the expert in was that. And I was like, oh, she's good at this, you know? So you quit your job full time and started to pursue doing readings. And that was essentially what I call escaping the quote unquote matrix. Like the matrix that you were stuck in was teaching. It was pursuing that master's degree, and it just wasn't for you. You were meant to create your own matrix and your own reality and live your life that. And I'm always giving the utmost praise to people who do create their own matrix. Like I admire that because that's the path that I'm moving to. Yeah. And I love like seeing other people who do that inspires me to keep going even more.
Yeah. And like good for you. You're going to get there. It's just a matter of when. Like you already know it's there for you. It's just a matter of when. But when I tell you like let the universe unravel it for you, because that's what happened for me. I was reading back on an old journal entry from February of 2021. I was in a dark place. Okay, I've never had suicidal thoughts before, but that was going through my mind. I was super unhappy. It was just not good. And I asked for help. Like I wrote down, I asked for help. I was like, I want to get out of teaching. I was like, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do because it is being stuck in a matrix. It was my income, which you need. You know what I mean? And the promise of security. And there was a lot of other things I needed to work through internally, you know, wanting to have my parents proud of me, this and that, the external validation. So there was a huge learning curve that kind of came with this transition as it was unfolding. I didn't think that I would create a bit of a platform on TikTok. It happened organically because I was following my passion. And that was the universe putting this plan into play for me. I let it happen. A year and a half ago, I didn't say, I'm going to quit teaching and I'm going to do readings full time. That's not what it was in my head. Like a year and a half ago, I had no clue how I was going to get out of teaching. I've always, you know, like I used to see spirits as a kid. Like I've always been connected, but I didn't realize I could do it full time. Do you know what I mean? And the universe did it for me. Oh, and that's why I say when people tell me they're like, I want to get out of this job, this or that, instead of looking for another job to like fix the problem and instead of looking for another job you think you might like better, follow your passions. Follow what makes you happy in the moment. The universe will do the rest. That's it.
That's literally following the universe, flowing with the listening. And that's what I think is the biggest problem when it comes to it. Like myself, for example, like it's hard to listen to the universe when you're so focused on what's next. You can't you can't focus on like you when you sit still and you just listen,
Mm-hmm.
hear what the universe is trying to say. Because me, for example, I did not know the path. Like my path, I'm still in. It's the genesis of it. It's the very beginning of it. But I see the path. It was blocked. It was like there was a lot of stuff in front of it. But now I see the path that I must go on. And I think a lot of us don't see our path, and it's because we start trying to find another workaround to our current problem, like you just said, where we don't just relax, listen, make time for ourselves, and take it all in. Because the silence gives you those answers, and it gave you the answers, and
Absolutely. No, I was just going to say that's why when I say your only job here is to do what makes you happy, don't get me wrong, life is life. We are here to experience the polarity, right? We are here to experience the good and the bad, but on a day-to-day basis, your only job is to be present and to follow that excitement. Like, you know, when you think of an idea, because spirit is sending all of us thoughts all of the time. Okay. But you need to differentiate between what's yours and what's not yours. Most people don't realize that, but they're sending you thoughts all the time. Your higher self is sending you thoughts all the time. So when you get an idea and you get excited about it, like, oh my gosh, that would be such a good idea. Within seconds, the logical mind will come in. Oh, you can't do that because of this. You can't do that because of that. You can't do that because of X, Y, and Z. That's your logical human mind squashing what your soul is trying to push you toward. So you need to kind of shut that up, turn off that noise around you and listen to that excitement. Even if it logically doesn't make sense, that's your soul talking to you. Listen to it.
those are the people who end up happy, because like I think a lot of us end up like indoctrinated into the system, like where we think like, oh, we need to work a 9 to 5 to make money. But when you listen to that logical mind, you start you start shooting yourself in the foot and making yourself miserable. And guess what? You might end up coming back in this lifetime because you didn't fulfill that purpose. Like you were so focused on what makes you human as opposed to listening to your soul and what makes you happy, you know?
Totally. And another thing, going off of, finding your purpose, some people kind of get too fixed on that. What is my purpose? What is my purpose? We're here and we have different things we're good at naturally. We have different interests, this and that, and we're all different like that for a different reason. You can express your purpose in a different way. It doesn't necessarily matter. Like me doing readings, for example, right now I feel like I'm living my quote unquote purpose because I'm doing what brings me joy. I'm doing readings on TikTok. That's one way and now privately, like one-on-one readings, but that's me expressing my purpose. There's so many other ways I can express it. I could be doing readings another way as well, or this or that, or does that make sense? There's different ways to express it. So people kind of get tied down to like that one thing. And I'm like, there's not necessarily one quote unquote purpose. Like you're here to learn certain things and there's different ways you can experience that, express it and learn it. All in all, as long as you are listening again to that joy.
We have a visitor, but no, I think that going back to the incarnation, because like thinking about Egyptian mythology and whatnot, how there's a scale, right? And you come back based off of like your heart. Your heart has to weigh a certain amount in order for you not to come back. Because if your heart is heavier than your soul, then guess what? You're coming back. And a lot of us are ruled by our ego, our pride, and that's what weighs us down. And it, like, for example, the pride to make your parents happy that you got this degree, as opposed to making yourself happy, like now you're tipping the scale in a favor it's not supposed to go. Yeah. So when we remove all that debt, that karma, we remove that, then our heart can be light as a feather. We're not supposed to keep coming back here and redoing, trying to figure out our purpose. And that's what I feel like a lot of us are stuck in this matrix, stuck in this rat race, and we're trying to do. And I feel like people like you, me, and all these other content creators are just trying to get people to break free from that. Like,
Yes. Yeah, like that's all I want to do is like I want to share this, like I want to scream it on the rooftops. You know what I mean? I want to sometimes just shake people in the nicest way just so they can see the way I see it just for a minute. Do you know what I mean? Just so that it'll click for them, because it is kind of that moment of it clicking in a way like, oh, okay. Because when you zoom out, this is very temporary. Our soul is eternal, right? Our spirit is eternal, but this human vessel that we're in is very temporary. When we wake up, when we go home, whatever you want to call it, this is going to feel like a fever dream in a way. It's going to be like it's nothing. And we get so wrapped up so easily into, whatever it is, the day to day, wanting to impress other people, needing that external validation, this and that. And it's like, none of this actually matters. Do what makes you happy. And it's self-love. I preach self-love all the time, because you need to get to know yourself first before you can even figure out what it is that you really want. But it's getting to know yourself, and it's stripping away all of the layers that have been put onto your subconscious mind, and stripping that away and realizing, okay, what is mine? What is it that I actually, believe? And what is it that has been imprinted on me? And it's not easy to do that.
you say love yourself. Like, I feel like when I was in that darker place a few years ago, there was a lack of validation for myself. So I sought it out through social media, through women, and I was using that because I didn't know how to make myself happy.
Right.
But when you find it, it's just like, whoa, where has this been all the time? And to go back to your point where you just want to shout it to the rooftop and show people the way, I realized like I do want to do that, but you can only lead a horse to the water. You can't force them to drink it. And at the same time, everybody's grand illuminating moment is going to come in a different way. Like mine's came after meeting Nick and seeing how he did it, and just the whole experience that I went through when I met him and Bruno. And I was like, you know what, guys, I feel something with all of us. I feel like we're going to grab this by the horns, and we're just going, all the three of us, we're just going to go, and we're going to like present this to the world. Like I felt that when I was near them, like, and it was just like, this is my path. This is it. Like, and I've been told this, like, I say like my girlfriend is the universe, like, cause she, or conduit of the universe, cause she speaks and she tells me things. And it's just like my mind, that mind that you were talking about, it didn't want to listen to her. It was like, no, I can't leave the fire department. That's what's paying me. That's what's paying the bills. But then it was just like that illuminating moment that recently happened was just like, no, screw that. This is the path. This is where you need to go. And this is how you do it. Yes. Now enjoy the journey as you do it. But I can't tell you, like, I feel it. Like, it's just like, I feel it. I see it. And I'm going to be there. Like, that inline thought will be there. And it's one thing when you see it, you taste it. I feel it in my heart and in my soul.
And that's when you know. And honestly, you talking about it, when you were talking about Nick and Bruno as well, like the three of you, whatever, I don't know what you're doing, whatever you're doing, I feel that excitement for you. Just like as you're talking about it, I'm like, yes, like do it, whatever it is. It's, I don't know, I follow the both of them as well. Great content. I was thinking of actually asking Nick maybe to come on to an episode. Sorry, my cat. She's yelling at me, to come out onto an episode too. But I know he has a podcast, I think, and his is so good, like the way he edits it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, mine's like amateur compared to that. But
remember, we can't compare our story to someone else. He sends it to an editor. Like, he's like, I don't have to do that. So I invest in someone whose job is now to edit. And I was like, yo, your editor's dope. Cause your story, how you have it right now is great. Like how I don't I don't try to compete with anybody else's YouTube channel. I do what works for me. You do what works for Brittany. Like, and that's how you continue to grow. Like, that's your success story. Like, I don't need a fancy studio. I don't need the greatest editors. People are going to hear the message regardless. The message who is intended for it'll get to them. And you could be in a subway in the middle of Times Square just talking to three people. One of those people is going to reach out to someone else. You don't need a big audience. Like, it is what it is. Like, my YouTube channel, I have this little ring light and I have my phone, and some people give me compliments. They're like, yo, how do you do your videos? I'm like, just ring light that's it. Like, my YouTube videos, like, don't get me wrong, I hate editing. It's tedious, it is what it is. But would I love to pay somebody to do it? Absolutely. But I enjoy this type of content because it's organic. And I feel like the organic content is what does the best, because it's from the heart. It's from the soul. Your soul is speaking to the world. So it's just like, no, you don't need to edit this. You don't need to edit that. Just go with the flow.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And I agree. Because I edit all of my stuff on my own. These podcasts actually take a really long time for me to edit. It's not that I'm like cutting things, but it's lining up the audios, because I have my audio and then it's the Zoom audio, and it doesn't line up properly because the Zoom is faster, or is it slower? One of the two. I'm not sure. But the Zoom is off. So I have to go through it, and it'll take me like 6 hours to edit this one, for example. But don't get me wrong, I love doing these podcast episodes, which is, I do it exactly for why, like the reason you were just explaining. I just love it. I love being able to connect with like-minded people, especially because I feel, like the way we think, not so many people can resonate, or maybe this is my experience, people locally. You know what I mean? I can't just talk about this with just anybody. You know what I mean? It's more so, which is why I love TikTok, because it's connected me with other people where I'm like, this is really cool. I bring them onto my podcast and we talk about whatever the topic is. Like, I've had mediums on here. I had a human design expert come on here. I'm going to have an astrologer come on here. Just stuff I love to talk about. And it's just, I don't know where it's going to take me. I don't know if the podcast is ever going to go anywhere, but I don't care,
And that's enjoying the journey right there. It's like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I manifested a successful YouTube channel, and I don't care when it happens. I just know it will happen. And I just enjoy the journey. I enjoy just putting out my organic content. Like, I was going to upload this just how it was, no editing, but I was like, you know what? I do want the audio to kind of look okay. But then I'm going away from my own message, or it's like, people want to hear the message regardless, whether you got a pixelated video or the audio is not the best. Like, it is what it is. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on this. Like, I love talking about this stuff, and I love connecting with people like you, because I feel like we are creating our own form of a community where it's like a tribe, where we're all like like-minded individuals just coming together. And I think TikTok for that, because it's allowed people to, you never know who's watching,
Totally.
You could have somebody who's like thinking like, I think I feel this all the time, I just don't know how to express it. And you come on and you start expressing it, and they're just like, aha, maybe I can express this too. Like, and then you just start a virus of people just unloading consciousness, thoughts, and their feelings.
It's a ripple effect. It's just one of those things that can just keep going and going. Quick question on your YouTube, a little off topic, but do you post regularly on the YouTube?
So as of right now, I have another project that I'm working on right now. It's part of my path that I have under wraps right now, but I have not been as consistent. I'm kind of stuck with the universe. I'm listening to the universe. It's telling me, like, as you saw, my tattoo yesterday was part of that path, and to remind me to listen to the universe, and I'm listening to it. And right now it's saying TikTok, YouTube, all that will be there. Focus on what you have ahead of you. Don't get me wrong, I will post videos here and there. Like, I did have an idea of a video to post before or after this podcast, but I'm not putting too much time on my content right now. Like that will come because I know that it's part of the journey. But like I think all the people who are following me right now, like just bear with me. Like it is what it is right now. I'm on a different journey, but I have other stuff to focus on. And I'm to be real, I haven't been the best with my YouTube, but content is coming.
Yeah, no, and like, do you know what? That's fair enough, and I get it when you have other things going on. I mean, there is, you can do a lot, but we are human, right? We are limited to this human body, and we do have only 24 hours in a day, and you got to sleep for a chunk of that. So there is only like a certain amount you can get done. What I was just going to say though, because like I said, my sister does it full time. The key is consistency, but you're not worried about it. It'll come when it comes. You do have, I think, a bit of a following already. I could be wrong, but like you have at least, what is it, 15,000 followers, something like that?
Subscribe?
Yeah, or maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I think on YouTube I'm only in like the 20s, but like I'm not worried about it right now. Like it's going to come. They pay me my little bit of chunk of change, but in time that will grow too. But I'm just enjoying the journey, and I have a lot of plans for more content coming on. Like I will post this podcast when you send it to me for example. And I know we've been on for like an hour, and I would wrap this up so you don't have too much editing. I got to eat soon too. But before we go, I want to ask you, because I asked this question yesterday, and you know where I'm going because you answered it, but I just need your podcast to hear your answer because we're on the same page. What does the universe mean to you? What is the definition of the universe?
To me, we are all the universe. In my opinion, everything is energy, everything is connected. We are simply a manifestation of that energy. We manifest it into individual conscious beings, but it doesn't mean we're not a part of it just because it's been like, like this microphone is a manifestation of energy. My water here is or my water bottle here is a manifestation of that energy. Everything is the universe. It's in us, through us, around us. It is us. That's my answer.
That was a great answer because was my definition as well, where I was like, when I consider the universe, I consider it like, you look at the definition of the universe, most people think of the cosmos, the planets, the stars, aliens, you name it, whatever, everything all in one. Like you look at you look at the one and you combine it, it's all of us, So I feel like there is an omnipotent divine energy that connects us all, and it speaks to us through our higher self, and we just have to quiet and listen.
Yes, I love that. That's a perfect way, I think, to close out here. Thank you again so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. It was awesome. Thank you for everybody listening, and until next time, bye guys.
Take care. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to more of your content as well.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good night.